What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video. And I grew up in the glory days of the Xbox 360, and if you're wondering, yes, my back hurts. But around the lunch table, when the other kids were talking about their new controllers or gaming gadgets, one of the names that always came up in the conversation was KontrolFreek, because this was a super affordable way to make your regular controller just a little bit better. But do these still hold up today? Now sure, you had your scuff controllers that were super pricey, or way back in the day you had your custom modded controllers. Shout out to Timothy Chalamet for being a real one. But KontrolFreeks always sounded like an easy way to add a simple little no-harm mod to your controller that gave you an edge on the competition with nothing more than a different thumb angle that could improve a little bit of your reaction time. And yes, they are still around. KontrolFreek is now owned by SteelSeries, and they sent over a ton of different stuff for me to review and try out, including different makes and models of the KontrolFreeks to answer the question, do KontrolFreeks really make you better at games? And beyond that, are they still worth using today? So let's find out. Now, I'll be the first to admit I've been pretty out of the loop on the world of KontrolFreeks for a hot minute. In fact, probably for about 10 years, because when this care package came in, I had no idea that on top of the standard staggered height thumbsticks you'd expect to see from KontrolFreek, they had a few other options that are more low octane. But I got the full gambit, from the Black Ops 6 and Call of Duty Zombies to clear FPS sticks and basic thumbstick covers, and I stuck with two pairs for my testing specifically. You've got the Black Ops 6 Performance thumbsticks and the Lotus Edition Action Adventure thumbsticks, and you might be asking why these, because the Lotus Edition is the more casual approach and the Black Ops pair is the more competitive approach, and I think between these two, you kind of get a full feel for what they're bringing here. And more honestly, the Lotus Edition looks cool on the SkyCypher controller, and the Black Ops pair came with a cool in-game charm and an actual performance coin in the box, and you guys know me, I'm a sucker for a collectible. At a glance, all of these are basically doing the exact same thing, adding some extra grip to the thumbsticks, and out of the box, Xbox controllers have this kind of concave design on the sticks that your thumb can sit on and get a little bit of grip. But KontrolFreeks leveled that out a bit and added grippier rubber. It's almost like the difference between wearing a pair of gloves while you're throwing a football and just using your bare hands. You can get the job done either way, but you're probably going to have better luck with a little bit of extra gear. The main difference between the different KontrolFreek designs is the height, because some keep the sticks nearly level with how they are stock, and then some add some height to the left stick and a lot of height to the right stick. And allegedly, this is supposed to give you more accuracy when you're turning, since your moves have to be more intentional and you can really dial in on where you're aiming. But each pair also has a little bit of a different texture, with Action Adventure sticks having this kind of symmetrical design, some of the others have a more standard flat texture, and then the branded options have a lot of different designs, including these South Park Kenny editions with Kenny on them, because sure, why not? So how did I put these things to the test? On the Black Ops KontrolFreeks, I obviously had to go with the standard Black Ops multiplayer over a double XP weekend, so you know these things were getting put through the ringer. And then on the Action Adventure sticks, I went with something that fit that bill, Dragon Age the Veilguard. Listen, the game has a ton of issues with the riding, but that combat is rock solid. Starting off with the FPS sticks, these definitely take some getting used to, and it's a weird feeling because that extra height almost feels the same as a standard setup. But there's just something a little bit different about it. On the website, they say the mid-rise on the left thumbstick upgrades your grip and movement, and the high-rise on the right thumbstick increases precision for faster and more accurate aiming. And for the movement stick, or really any of the KontrolFreeks that don't really have a significant amount of height to them, the star of the show here is the added grip that they've got. KontrolFreeks make the thumb pad of the thumbstick wider, like where your thumb actually rests, and then the rubber has this incredibly tactile feel to it. You combine those together and you've got something that does way more for you than the standard thumbsticks. For the movement stick, or really any of the KontrolFreeks that don't have a significant amount of height to them, the star of the show here is the added grip that they've got, because these make the thumb pad of the thumbstick wider, and then the rubber actually has this tactile feel to it. So you combine those two together and you've got something that does way more for you than the standard thumbsticks that come stock with an Xbox controller. On the right, you've got the high-rise stick with that same size and grippiness and double the height of the mid-rise stick on the left. And when you first read this is supposed to have extra precision for faster and more accurate aiming, it sounds gimmicky, like really gimmicky. I thought there's no way this extra 1.5 centimeters of plastic is going to make me better at Call of Duty. But then you think about how it actually works in action. Basically, the longer the thumbstick is, the more control you have. So while you could totally make the exact same movements without KontrolFreeks on there, you'd have to make the smallest little micro movements with your thumb to the point that it's just not practical when you're grinding an FPS like Call of Duty. With that added height, you can move your thumb more and make smaller and, you guessed it, more precise movements in the game. I do want to make it as clear as I can though, KontrolFreeks aren't going to completely change the way you play and finally bring your KD back from the brink. What they actually do is add a good bit of comfort and enhance the control that you already bring into the game. Dude that grinds camos for 20 hours every day might still melt you with a 10-year-old Xbox One controller because they played the game so much. No KontrolFreeks can protect you from that abuse. Now switching over to the adventure sticks, these are all about that comfort and grippiness. And again, you've got that wider base for your thumb on the thumbstick and that same kind of super grippy rubber material on the KontrolFreeks, plus a very cool design on these that technically should add even more grip to them since it's got this kind of wavy pattern to the whole thing. But for the games these sticks are designed for, adventure games or RPGs, there isn't really a performance element baked in because you don't really need that extra precision to enhance the way you play. And if you need FPS sticks to shoot arrows at AI enemies, I don't know what to tell you. What these actually do is just make gaming more comfortable. And don't get me wrong, the standard Xbox controller is already super comfortable for long gaming sessions. It's great, but there is that little bit of a lip around the edge of each thumbstick that can get a little bit uncomfortable over time. And if that's not the definition of a first world problem, I don't know what is. But taking that little sharp edge away, if you can even call it a sharp edge, and changing it out with a larger pad of soft rubber really goes a lot longer of a way than you think it would. Now these were locked and loaded on my controller during the majority of my Dragon Age of the Veilguard playthrough when I wasn't using the Razer Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition, which I reviewed last week, so, you know, if you want to give that video a watch, see what they're up to. But then I also played some Diablo to throw some variety into the mix, and again, there isn't really a performance element with these KontrolFreeks specifically, it's really all about the comfort, and they do it very, very well. So now for the big question, are KontrolFreeks really worth it? And even more importantly for the people like me that have been around since the rise of these controller accessories during the mid-2000s COD hype days, are they still worth it even with all the enhancements and improvements that modern controllers have compared to the PS3 and 360 days when these things really took off? Now you can't talk about value without talking about price. So the FPS Black Ops 6 KontrolFreeks run you $20. Now keep in mind that also comes with the little performance coin. This means nothing, but I am a sucker for a collectible, like we said. And then the Action Adventure Lotus set runs you $16.99, so between $17 and $20 is not cheap for a set of clip-on thumbstick pads. But if you're not wanting to splash that kind of cash, they've got older models that are on clearance down to $9.99, and then you can just wait for a sale at your favorite store that carries them like GameStop. I think I've seen them at Walmart too. But if you do have an extra 10 or 20 bucks to toss at something like this, you are absolutely going to get a more comfortable experience on a controller and potentially easier precision shots in FPS games if you take the time to practice with these and really dial in the way that you move when you're aiming down sight or sniping or doing anything in a game like Call of Duty. Do you absolutely need to grab a pair of KontrolFreeks if you play on controller? No, anyone can be good at the game no matter what kind of controller they're using, going all the way back to the day one Xbox One controller all the way up to the newest high-end $350 controller that's out there today. Remember that dude that landed a headshot in Warzone with a recorder? If he can do that, you don't need a pair of KontrolFreeks to get good. I'd consider these to be a luxury item, a cheap luxury item, but still a luxury item, because if you've got a little bit of extra room in that gaming budget, then KontrolFreeks can add a nice premium feel to a standard controller and can even go the extra mile to give you a little upper hand in an FPS if you lock in your movement and use them the right way. So for $20, yeah, I'd say that's worth it as an affordable little luxury perk for your controller. But that's just my experience after using these different models for a week, and I'd love to know what you think down below. Did you use KontrolFreeks back in the day? Do you still use them now? And if you don't, would you consider snagging a pair of these and tossing them on your controller? I'd love to know your thoughts. And of course, if you're new here, you like what you see and what you hear, hit that subscribe button for videos like this every week and gaming news shorts throughout the week to keep you in the loop, and I'll catch you on the next one.